Okay, good evening, everyone. It is now 5 o'clock, and I'd like to welcome you to the Planning Commission meeting for the City of Victorville, Wednesday, November 8th, 2023. I will call this meeting to order. Can we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Marsh,
Here.
Commissioner Messon,
Here.
Commissioner Thomas,
Here.
Vice Chair Cook Askins is absent, Chair Kurth.
Here.
We have quorum.
Thank you. If we can all please rise for the invocation led to us by Commissioner Messon, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Lord, for allowing us to gather today. We ask for here our staff residents, especially thank you over our veterans.
Ready? Begin. Now is the time that we offer general public comment. This is for anyone that would wants to speak on items which are not on tonight's agenda. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to us on general public comment?
I don't have any speaker cards for general public comment. Everything I have is for item 4.
Thank you. Then I will close the public hearing on general public comment. That moves us into approval of a couple of sets of minutes, if we could dispose with those.
I move to approve the minutes.
A second.
I have a first by Commissioner Messon, a second by Commissioner Thomas. I'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Marsh,
Yes.
Commissioner Messon,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Chair Kurth.
Yes.
Motion passes with Vice Chair Cook Askins being absent.
Thank you. And that moves us next into our public hearing items, starting with agenda item number 2. Could we have the staff report, please?
Thank you, Chair Kurth, fellow commissioners. Item number 2 is case PLAN 22-00027. It is a site plan with an environmental exemption to allow for the development of a new approximately 26,850 square foot warehouse establishment and a zone change from C2 General Commercial to IPD Industrial Park District on approximately 1.6 acres of undeveloped property. This is located at the northwest corner of Dos Palmas Road and Park Avenue. The applicant's requesting this proposal to accommodate the relocation of a warehouse business, Desert Star Wholesale, that's located nearby. The proposed zone change would be to match the western side of the facility, which is currently zoned IPD. The commission may recall during our last general plan update that we made some changes to developer requests. This site 10 plus years ago was completely zoned industrial park district. We did have a developer request to change it to general commercial. That development never panned out. Now we have more industrial demand, and now we have a request to bring it back to industrial. So this is just necessarily a cleanup to conduct that zone change. With that, the design is a concrete tilt-up building. It's designed by Estino Design, which is here today. And the project meets all municipal code standards. And so therefore, staff recommends that the Planning Commission conduct a public hearing, receive testimony regarding the proposed project, and take the following actions. Find the site plan portion of the project categorically exempt under section 15332 of the California Environmental Quality Act, entitled Infill Development Projects, and the zone change portion of the project exempt under section 15061B3, and adopt resolution number P-23-025, recommending City Council approval of the zone change portion of case number PLAN 22-27, and adopt resolution number P-23-026, recommending the city council approval of the site plan portion of case number PLAN 22-27, subject to the attached conditions of approval. And therefore, staff's available should you have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. Are there any questions from the commission at this time? Okay,
I just have one quick
yes.
I just wanted to know if ICR and the dealership also received letters and if there was any concerns about parking. I believe we tend to see quite a few cars parked on the side right there.
This project was noticed both in the paper and a mailer was sent 10 days before the hearing to the properties within 300 feet. So they would have received a notice. This project does meet all municipal code standards for warehousing, so it is sufficiently parked. Thank you.
I have a quick question. As far as this warehouse going in that location, has there been like a traffic study or is there going to be any type of traffic adjustments to that corner because you have Rancho Motor Company right across the street and you have that in the old where the employee parking is going to be a service center that they're going to do. So there's going to be a lot of congestion right in that corner, putting a warehouse right there. I mean, has that been kind of a consideration?
For this project, due to the low traffic counts, it was not required, but our city engineer is here. Maybe he can elaborate a little bit more on that intersection.
Good evening, planning commissioners. No, we did not anticipate the additional traffic counts for this warehouse since it's infill development. It's mostly already developed near and around the site. So our traffic engineer did not specify the need for a traffic study at this specific location.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And my question is along the same lines. How much truck traffic are we anticipating?
We don't anticipate much truck traffic at all.
And the trucks, would they be the semis or the, I guess my question is looking at the space that they're working with going in, is there adequate space for them to get in that alley and into the stalls?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Thomas. As you can see on the display, if you could go back one slide. In addition to the 20-foot alley, there is additional pavement up into the loading area. And then for larger vehicles, there is that kind of alcove where they could back in and be set back from the alley. So with the site plan design, we don't anticipate any type of infringement on the use of that alley. There's plenty of on-site parking area for loading.
Thank you.
Okay, then I'll go ahead and I'll open up the public hearing. I know we don't have any cards on this one. Is the applicant or representative want to make a statement or have any questions?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Great tonight. We're very happy to be here. To answer a couple questions that I heard you talk about there, the parking. Thank you. The alleyway off the back is where any trucks would come in and do any deliveries. This is essentially like a big store is what this is for convenience stores and small stores like that. So it's a retail store for store owners for the most part. So it's all cars for the most part, picking up any goods and any deliveries come in from the back. We have that loading zone back there as well. I believe they have a truck that they'll park inside the building, but it's like a big store is what this is. That kind of answers some of your thoughts on that. Okay, yeah, it's all car parking essentially in the front of the building there. Well, we went through a lot of iterations on this with staff. They put me through the ringer like usual. Thank you, Scott. But it's a much better project, undoubtedly. You know, they made me change a few things that really makes it for a better project. So no hard feelings, guys. So it's all good. But it's a good looking project. We're very happy to bring it forth to you. And you have any questions for me on the project?
No, thank you for that information.
The conditions, we reviewed them. They all seem in order, and we agree.
Very good. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And with that, I will close the public hearing on item number 2, and I'll bring it back to the commission for determination.
I'll go ahead. I'll make a motion to adopt agenda item number 2, including I guess it's item 1, 2, and 3. Is it?
Yes, that would be appropriate.
Okay.
A second?
I have a first by Commissioner Marsh, a second by Commissioner Messin. I'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Marsh,
Yes.
Commissioner Messin,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Chair Kurth.
Yes.
Motion passes with Vice Chair Cook Askins being absent.
Okay, thank you, and congratulations on that. That moves us to item number 3, library project at the golf course. If you could fill us in on the staff report.
Thank you, Chairman Kurth and fellow commissioners. Item number 3 is case PLAN 23-00027. It's a site plan with an environmental exemption to allow for the expansion and reconfiguration of the existing Green Tree Clubhouse to accommodate the relocation of the city library on property zoned plan unit development. This is located at 14144 Green Tree Boulevard. A couple of years ago, the city completed the library master plan and simultaneously was awarded and sought out a grant, which they received a $9 million grant for this expansion. Around that time, or a little bit before that time, there was a vacancy at the clubhouse, which allowed for this to be explored. The site plan that you're seeing here, the majority of the site is the existing clubhouse. The circular portion in the bottom left is the 5,000 square foot expansion to the facility, which will allow for a children's library, outdoor courtyard. The interior remodels will allow also for additional study rooms and teen services. The total project will bring the building to 16,000 square feet. The grant itself will not cover all of the improvements. They do plan to use Measure P funds to complete some of the site work and also the retrofits to the clubhouse portion for the golfers. And with that, staff recommends that the Planning Commission conduct a public hearing to receive testimony regarding the proposed project and take the following actions. Find the project categorically exempt under Section 15332 of the California Environmental Quality Act, titled Infill Development Project, and adopt a resolution number P-23-027, approving the site plan case portion of case PLAN 23-27, subject to attached conditions of approval. And with that, we do have a team of city staff that have been involved with the grant award and also the construction that are available should you have any further questions.
Thank you. Questions? We'll start on this side.
Scott, what percentage of the building of the golf course property out there is the library going to encompass?
It may be better if I have our building official or our facilities manager come up. I'm not sure on the exact square footage or percentage. I know the total would range up to 16,000 square feet.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. As Scott explained, I'm city's building official. You may recognize me from that capacity, but in this case, I'm also the project manager for this as well. I don't have that figure in front of me as far as the exact ratio, As far as the upper floor, though, I would say it represents probably about an 80-20 mix. With the, I would say, easternmost portion of the building will remain a clubhouse, bar, seating area. It's roughly demonstrated by the floor plan, though, as far as what that mix will be. The downstairs, though, also a portion of that will be utilized as storage for the library operations as well. But the bulk of it will remain cart storage. So it's anticipated that the golf will still be a fully operational part of the facility as well.
And so commissioners, if you could see the display that you're seeing right now is the bottom story basement, I guess you could call it, for that's mainly for the golf course storage. If we could go back one slide to the main floor plan. Could we go back one slide? There we go. So the golf course portion is mainly highlighted by the purplish color in the upper right, along with there's some brown area to the bottom of that where there'd be restrooms specific for the golfers.
That's correct. To expand on Mr. Webb's comments, the purple area represents what will remain as the golf operation, and what you see in, I guess it would kind of be almost like a maroonish color, or kind of general shared areas. As you can tell, the main restrooms in the front area will be utilized by both operations, things like that.
Any questions, Commissioner Marsh?
Just a quick question. As far as the funding for this, because you said that what, 9 million came from a grant, is what's the balance, that approximate balance that would come from Measure B?
Roughly 4 million additional.
Okay, so okay.
Commissioner Messon?
And I believe the grant goes towards just the library portion of it, correct?
Correct. With even on that side, there are some exclusions that will eventually have to be covered by Measure P, and that includes some of what Mr. Webb mentioned before, which is some of the site work, furnishings, things like that will have to come out of our pocket.
Okay. And then I just have 2 comments. I just want to congratulate staff on applying for the grant and receiving it. Those aren't easy to come by. And I think the layout is very nice. It's something very modern and very needed. So thank you.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
I just had one quick one on just to confirm on the parking, knowing that the golf course could have events at the same time that the library may have community events. Looks like we have substantial existing parking at our golf course as it sits now, but the reciprocal that goes over into the Green Tree Inn property, that's shared, right? That will continue to be able to use that if we had a overage of vehicles on an event.
Scott, I don't know, you might be able to answer that one better than me. I think we met parking on our own, but if there's an agreement in place, I suppose we could take advantage of that.
Yes, thank you, commissioners. The proposal as it's presented does meet our municipal code standard for parking. There is reciprocal access between the Green Tree Golf Course. I'm sorry, the Green Tree Hotel. I'm not aware of any shared agreement though with them for us to utilize that for our required parking. But as it stands now, with the square footage added, we meet our municipal code standards.
Okay. I think that's it. Thank you. And no speakers cards on this one.
That is correct.
Okay. And since we have no speakers for any testimony, we can make a determination through the commission at this point, or any further dialogue or questions.
Chair Kurth, did you want to open and close the public hearing?
I will open the public hearing, and seeing that there's no one to speak, I will close the public hearing. Thank you for that. And I'll bring it back to the commission.
I, Commissioner Thomas, move that we adopt the recommendations here from staff.
I second that.
I have a first by Commissioner Thomas, a second by Commissioner Messin. I'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Marsh,
Yes.
Commissioner Messin,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Chair Kurth.
Yes.
Motion passes with Vice Chair Cook Askins being absent.
Thank you. And once again to the project management team, congratulations and good work on getting that grant money, and the the elevations of the project looks really nice. So looking forward to see that move forward. That brings us to agenda item number 4. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Chairman Kurth. Our senior planner, Travis Clark, is the case planner on this project and will be presenting today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Kurth, fellow commissioners. Item number 4 is plan case number PLAN 22-00023. This is a site plan with an environmental impact report to allow for the development of approximately 1.1 million square foot warehouse distribution building, and a tentative parcel map to allow for the creation of 1 parcel from 5 existing parcels on an approximately 66-acre site zoned M1 light industrial. This proposal is located at the northeast corner of Mojave Drive and the logical extension of Mesa Linda Avenue. In summary, the proposed warehouse distribution facility will be 1.1 million square feet in size, comprised of 1,057,300 square feet allocated to warehouse space and 40,000 square feet for ancillary office space, with the facility offering 187 loading docks split along the east and west sides of the building. Parking will be provided on site for upwards of 726 tractor trailers and 457 stalls for passenger vehicles to accommodate employees and visitors. The building has been designed to accommodate up to 4 tenants with independent office spaces provided at each end of the building, with access and parking to accommodate each. This building is proposed as a speculative development, and the users of the building are unknown at this time. Staff finds the facility is well designed in accordance with the city's industrial design guidelines and incorporates architectural enhancements and features such as wall plane and parapet height variation, panel reveals in the tilt-up walls, enhanced office entries that include additional wall plane variation, canopies, and panel inlays. As previously noted, the proposal also includes a tentative parcel map. This map has been proposed in accordance with the development code standards and necessary to consolidate the 5 parcels that comprise the project site into a single parcel to facilitate the implementation of the development. The project site is located north of and abutting Mojave Drive, bordered by the extension of Mesa Linda Avenue on the west, Onyx Road on the east, and Cactus Road on the north. The proposal is located within an area of the city zoned industrial, generally north of Mojave Drive, west of Diamond Road, and east of Highway 395. So it's a larger industrial area of our city currently. The project site presently is vacant, as well as the surrounding industrial areas. Residential development does exist approximately 370 feet to the south of this project site, south of Mojave Drive, and approximately 2,700 feet to the east is additional residential development. Regarding the environmental review, the city undertook an environmental impact report in accordance with CEQA standards. The results of the EIR have determined that the project will have a less than significant or no impact on the environment for all the environmental topics. The results of these impacts are discussed in the statement of facts and findings included with this proposal. The commission did receive a late memo on this project tonight that included a comment letter received from an organization, Advocates for the Environment, which has expressed concerns the project did not adequately address the greenhouse gas emissions. The applicant's consultant has prepared a response to these concerns and has provided evidence that the present EIR appropriately addresses the subject concerns to local AQMD standards. This has been addressed in the memo you received this evening. Lastly, the applicant has prepared a presentation as well for the Planning Commission, which they're available to show shortly, that will provide additional information on the proposal. Therefore, staff recommends that the Planning Commission conduct a public hearing, receive testimony regarding the proposed project, and take the following actions. Adopt the attached California Environmental Quality Act findings of fact, adopt the mitigation monitoring and reporting program for the project, and certify the final environmental impact report for the Mojave 68 project, which is State Clearinghouse number 202-303-0145, and adopt resolution number P23-023, approving the site plan portion of case number PLAN 22-00023, subject to the attached conditions of approval. Adopt resolution number P23-024, approving the tentative parcel map portion of case number PLAN 22-00023, subject to the attached conditions of approval. And staff will remain available should the planning commission have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Any questions on this project? Start over this way.
Well, I'm always concerned about the large warehouses coming into the city, and that area. I think if it's industrial, should be okay. I just get concerned about the big buildings 20 years later, and they become empty or something. What measures will the city take to assure that something is done with that instead of it being a big hole? I don't know that there's anything we can do with that, but I am concerned about that, and I am a little concerned about the proximity to the residential area out there as well.
Yeah, understood. The zoning in this area largely north of Mojave all the way up to our city boundary is zoned industrial. There are larger roadways that would be constructed as a part of this proposal, as well as a large amount of infrastructure that would be installed. With the investment in that area, we don't anticipate issues with properties being neglected if these projects come to fruition. The buildings are also being designed in such a manner that they can be split into either accommodate a single user or multiple users, whether 2, 3, or 4 users. So it is a adaptable building design.
Yeah. Thank you.
Commissioner Marsh.
I think you pretty much answered my question, which would be residential traffic, But since you said there's going to be accommodations that's going to be built in to accommodate warehouse traffic versus residential traffic, then you pretty much answered my question.
I believe the report at some point mentioned a reduction size to 800,000 square feet. Do we know what that would look like, or is that something that is still being considered, or was it just briefly mentioned in the report?
That's likely a component of the environmental impact report as far as an assessment of alternative options for the project site, determining whether or not it's got a larger impact on the environment. That's provided as alternate in the environmental discussion, but not necessarily from the development standpoint. It was determined based on that alternate design or reduction in building size did not reduce the environmental impacts at all. So it was justification used to support the current building square.
And then I have one more for city engineer. Freddie, can you explain the difference between the entrance on the routes on the different streets, the 4 different streets, the passenger versus the truck accessibility?
Okay, good evening again, commissioners. So this project actually has significant infrastructure improvements associated with it. So first and foremost, Mojave Drive will be widened to its ultimate capacity. That'll provide for 3 lanes in the westbound direction. A signal has been triggered at the intersection of Mesa Linda and Mojave, allowing access in and out of the site. Additionally, the fire department has required an independent access point. So Cactus Road on the north boundary will be extended to the west, essentially meeting the existing development just east of Highway 395. So you will have essentially a truck route on Mojave, a back route on Cactus Road, and 2 frontage roads, Onyx and Mesa Linda Avenue at the project frontage to be able to provide access.
And then just last one, SoCal Gas mentions pipeline that would be addressed at a later time with the applicant if anything needs to be moved, correct?
That is correct. Yeah, that would be a component of their construction drawings to address that relocation.
Thank you, that's all.
I will then go ahead and open up the public hearing portion of this item, and we can start by inviting the applicant to the podium.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Craig Wilde. I'm with Industrial Property Group. I represent the applicant. Tonight with me, I also have Brent McManigal, who is part of our CEQA consulting team, as well as Jim Dysa, who is our traffic engineer. So if we have any questions, we're happy to drill into those with you. First, wanted to say thank you to your staff. They've been fantastic to work with. They are by far the most knowledgeable staff of any of those that we work with in the high desert, and we appreciate their guidance and their effort, even if they do give us news that we don't want to hear. We appreciate the forthright nature of it. And so with that, we did prepare a presentation. I'm happy to walk through it. It's much of what Travis has already gone through, and I don't know who's controlling the slides, but you're welcome to either walk through them. Oh, I'm sorry, that's what that is. Okay. So the first one is really just an overview of the site and the location. It speaks to the zoning and then the access points, as Travis has already confirmed. You know, the goal of the project is to meet the let's skip forward a couple of slides here. The goal of the project is to actually meet the requirements of the general plan and provide the city of Victorville with a use that is consistent with their vision. We believe that the enhanced jobs are something that you will hear more from some people in the audience tonight about how that is beneficial to not only the community but the individuals that participate. There will be a number of different infrastructure improvements that are being proposed and planned as a part of the project that will essentially open up this area and support this portion of the city through water and sewer capacity that's currently not existent, as well as some stormwater upgrades that will make the area consistent with the city's stormwater plan. And then finally, there was a long-term maintenance obligation that's being presented as part of a landscape maintenance district that will provide for a continued quality of aesthetics for the region, and it will apply to this project, and my understanding is it'll apply to future projects in the area as well. Having said that, or having gone through that, those are really the points that I wanted to touch on. Like I said, pretty much everything else, Travis, and as you can see from this side, Freddie covered regarding the access points. We have an access point on Mojave. We have a signal going in at Mesa Linda and Mojave. The truck access are off of the side streets, off of Mesa Linda, and off of Cactus, all of which is intended to kind of focus everything to the west. And then again, a reference to the landscape maintenance district. And then as you can see, the landscaping plan is substantive. It meets all of the requirements of the city's landscaping code, which also then is taking into account how that screens the truck courts and the portions of the building that are not addressed as architecturally, like as the front of the building and the corners of the building. So anyway, that is all I have. And if you have any other questions, I am happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you for that overview. Any questions from the commission for the applicants team? Okay, thank you. All right, I understand we have a number of speaker cards on this item number 4. So I will, I'm going to give each speaker a 2-minute time frame if you need that much. If you concur with the other folks that are saying the same things, you may concur. But either way, your name will be made for the record. So if we could start with the cards.
Our first speaker is Eric Saavedra.
Good evening, Planning Commission. Thank you for having me. My name is Eric Saavedra, and I'm here tonight to speak in favor of item number 4, the Mojave 68 project. City staff in Victorville are not novices They do their job well, and the Mojave 68 planning staff team have done an excellent job here as well. They have rigorously considered the environmental assessment, the site plan, and the tentative parcel map, and their conclusion afterwards is to approve the project. So the community stands with their civic representatives and asking that the Mojave 68 be approved at Planning Commission and recommended to Victorville City Council. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Anthony Rolamos.
Good evening, commissioners and staff. My name is Tony Bolaños, and I am here to speak in the favor of Mojave Drive Warehouse. Many millennials come into the job market not sure what they want to do with their future. They're looking for a place to work while they pay for school, rent, gas, groceries, and everything else. So when a large warehouse like this opens up, it helps to attract a segment of the population that, though today they might not have a clear picture of the future, we do. Millennials will one day be homeowners. Millennials will one day be primary contributors to the tax base, and millennials will shape the future of not only our local economy, but our larger society and world. So let's give them a place to position themselves for the future. Let's approve the staff recommendations and move this project forward. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is David Martinez.
Hello, good evening. My name is David Martinez, and I'm here speaking in support item of 4 of the Mojave 68 Community 1. A 1 million square foot house means jobs, and lots of them. Construction jobs, environmental inspection jobs, code enforcement jobs, vehicles gas sold to get the first round of workers to form and then come to the second phase. Warehouse workers, managers, truckers, Ubers, Lyft drivers, and all the city staff necessary to serve the construction building. Then comes the third wave of workers. The store owners and other companies in the city need a subtain of the number of workers in a warehouse, the size of employees. Not only that, but we are also then making our city hub for common for good themselves, which is us more desirable in the future as products are made, sold, and shipped. And so that when a project like this comes along, the community sees it as a great opportunity to advantage our city. Please approve this project. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jason. His last name starts with an S. Thank you. That sounds about right.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. My name is Jason Sheffs. I'm here with representing Local 364 United Association. We are in support of the Mojave 68 project. This developer is practicing responsible development by committing themselves to hiring a solid GC that will hire locally and will hire a skilled and trained workforce from the local area to be on this job. It matters to us when a developer really supports us like this, and to the community as well. And we hope that you do approve this project. Thank you.
Thanks.
Our next speaker is Zach Strasters.
Hey guys, how you doing this evening? Thank you. Just basically want to reiterate what everyone else has said. It's a fabulous project. It is large, but of course that means a lot of jobs. We're stoked about that, right? Industrial Property Group. I could go on. Speaking on behalf of CARE California, by the way, and before we support a project, we really take a rigorous look at the character of the developer. So to come out, not just because a project is 1 million some odd square feet, but because the developer has shown a willingness to engage the community at the grassroots level, has shown a desire to contribute something more than just a tilt-up, an opportunity for several strata of society to advance. And that's why we're out tonight. That's why we're willing to support this project. So as you consider it, really, you're just considering the voice of the community. So support this project. Thanks. God bless you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Phil Huerta.
Hi, my name is Phil Huerta. I'm representing Iron Workers Local 416. This developer has shown a commitment to using skilled, trained labor, and for that, we stand with him on this project. This is a great project. It brings a lot of local jobs for me and my fellow trades workers. And then once we're all done, there's a job for our kids. So for that, I stand with this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Ralph Velador.
Good evening, Planning Chair, Planning Commission. Looks like most of my brothers have said everything that should have been said. But us at Laborers International Union of North America do support this developer, and developers like who are responsible, who go ahead and hire contractors who their ideals mirror ours to make sure that they offer good mortgage paying jobs, that are benefited jobs, that have pensions, that have a future for the workforce. Those are the same folks that live in your community, that buy your homes, that shop here locally. And it's important that when folks come in, that you do look at them and give them an extra nod, because they are adding to the value of our local community. Therefore, that's the reason why we support them. That's the reason why the tradesmen are here today, because these are folks that live in the community and depend on this very work to support their families, put their kids through school, buy the vehicles here, do their shopping here, and add to the tax base. So again, we fully support this developer and the contractors they bring on board, because that's how we feed our. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jojo Vasquez.
Good evening, respected elected officials before me. First and foremost, thank you for this opportunity to be before you in this evening. Also, thank you for everything that you do for your city here in Victorville. I'm also from up here in the high desert, so I always get excited to be a part of what it is that the communities up in the high desert doing, because it affects me personally as well. Thank you very much for all you do. My name is Jose Vasquez. I'm here representing Union Iron Workers Local 433. We join our brothers and our sisters that are here as well from the other skilled trades present today to support this project. We believe that great projects are more than a just construction process. Being a construction worker myself, I know this to be very true. Great projects provide career opportunities to local workers and veterans while delivering skilled construction work to the site every day. This is just one such project, and on behalf of Local 433, would respectfully request that for your support and support for this project, and thank you very much, and have a blessed evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Delshawn McClellan.
How you doing this evening? Again, my name is Delshawn McClellan, and I represent the Western States Regional Council of Carpenters. These guys back here. This is a responsible developer, which we also represent 6,000 members and 800 members that live in the vicinity of this project. This developer knows the importance of an apprenticeship program, which we have a state certified apprenticeship program, which over 300 members that live up here are a part of, your constituents. We ask that you approve this project for many reasons, that the members that live out here, as well as myself, working closer to home, being closer to family, being able to do things that they would not be able to do working down in LA. That's pretty much it. Everybody's gonna say something, but again, I am a 15-year homeowner that live in the city of Victorville, and I would ask that you guys approve this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Virginia Hernandez.
Hi, guys. Good evening. Thank you for having me here. My name is Virginia Hernandez, and I'm part of the Carpenters Local 909 in Ontario. So I just come to ask about this project for Tiltup. I'm part of Tiltup, and I love to do that. So we are a lot of carpenters. So if you guys approve this, all the families will live here with the kids, so we don't have to drive, down the hill, LA, well, many places down there. But the thing is, I saw this, if we have jobs here, this project, so we can be more with the kids, spend time with them, see them growing up, and that way we can teach more, to be good citizenship, more for the community. If we drive far from there, from the kids, sometimes, I used to work before down there, and I leave in the night, in the morning, and I come back in the night. And it was, I can say, hard because I can see them growing up without me. I'm sorry, I'm nervous, but I just speak by my heart, not only for me, because I can see a lot of families. So if you guys approve this project, it's gonna be awesome for our families, so that way we can spend more time with the kids. And that way we can have better community for the kids and the high desert. So thank you and appreciate it. And happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Brian Farkas.
Good evening, Planning Commissioning. My name is Brian Farkas. I'm a 23-year member of the Western States Regional Council of Carpenters, 13-year resident, City of Victorville, and a father of 4. I currently live not too far from here, right here in Mountain View Acres. I'm speaking in favor of the Mojave 68 project. Due to the lack of good paying construction jobs in the high desert, I currently have to travel down the hill every day, provide a decent living, healthcare for my family. It's jobs like this, and it's jobs like this that provides jobs, wages, and benefits to the city of Victorville. Not just construction jobs, additional jobs once this project's gonna be complete. They're gonna be putting more residents to work. My current commute right now, it's about 4 hours every day. I drive up and down the hill. I'm not able to make it to my kids' soccer practice. I'm not able to make it to my girls' cheerleading practice. I barely get to see him during the week. I don't get home until 6 or 7. I actually had to leave early today just to come here because this is so important to have more jobs like this up here in the city of Victorville. This project's 4.9 miles away from my house. So to have something, be able to work on a project this close to home would be truly a blessing. So thank you, guys.
Thank you.
There are no additional speaker cards.
Okay, thank you. I'll close the public hearing. And then at this point, I will be bringing this back to the Planning Commission for any further discussion and for determination then.
I don't have anything further to discuss on my part, but I would like to go ahead and make a motion to adopt agenda item number 4, and that would include the recommendations, staff recommendations of 1, 2, and 3.
I second.
I have a first by Commissioner Marsh, a second by Commissioner Thomas. I'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Marsh?
Yes.
Commissioner Messin?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Chair Curve?
Yes.
Motion passes with Vice Chair Cook Askins being absent.
That has been approved. Congratulations on getting through that part of the process and good luck on the construction phase. That was approved and the expansion project passed through the planning commission. I'm sorry?
How would it been here on time? What would the option?
You would have filled out a speaker card and you would have made your statement. It would have been a statement of opposition. That planning commission would hear your statement. And what's that? There was not tonight. No, we did not see anyone opposed to it tonight. And because that agenda item has ended and we are in between two agenda items, we really shouldn't be discussing this again without opening it back. If a citizen wanted to oppose something after the fact, would they submit their comments in writing to the city? Would that be the best?
Yeah, I have a business card. If you want to reach out to me, I can tell you about the appeal period. There is a 10-day appeal period. But yeah, we can fill you in more on the project if you want to reach out, or you can put your contact information, give that to the city clerk. Okay. Yeah, if you like, go ahead and leave your contact information with the city clerk, or if you want, just reach out to me. Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, then that brings us to item number 5, our workshop.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Agenda item number 5 is case number PLAN 23-00025. It's a planning commission workshop to discuss the proposed low-density residential infill overlay district, the health and wellness overlay district, the Title 16 land use table, and associated zoning map changes included in case number PLAN 23-00025, which is an amendment to the Victorville Municipal Code with an environmental exemption, introducing various changes to Title 16 to address the recently adopted land use element of the general plan, including but not limited to updated development standards, implementation of new zone districts and overlay districts, and an updated land use map, and other associated changes. Keeping in our format of previous workshops, we've prepared a PowerPoint for you to go over the main points of the proposed amendment and discuss the ins and outs of what's included in this item. To start, we have an agenda. We'll address the background on how we got here and what has been approved and previously discussed. Overlay districts, we'll discuss overlay districts that are required to be addressed with the zoning code to coordinate with the general plan. This would include the low density residential infill overlay district and the health and wellness overlay district. And we'll discuss the land use table updates that added the health and wellness overlay district, updated residential districts, and made other minor adjustment to land use allowances. And we'll finish up with development examples that depict the types of projects possible within the new overlay districts. To start with the background, beginning with the housing element in 2021 that was adopted and requires a development code and zoning map update. In 2022, we adopted the land use element of the general plan, which updated and added land use designations and implements the housing element. And that brings us to 2023 and the development code and zoning map update, which is our current step and is required in order to further clarify the rules, regulations, and development standards applicable to each general plan land use designation, with today's discussion focused on the new overlay districts and land use table updates. To start with the history here, with adoption of the land use element, that was the first action needed in order to update the zoning ordinance, since it updated the land use designations and the land use map. This included new residential land use categories, expansion of the mixed use designation, consolidation of redundant commercial designations, and addition of overlay districts, such as the low density residential infill and the health and wellness overlays. Next, the PC reviewed new residential and mixed-use zoning districts to coordinate with the land use element, which was discussed at the previous Planning Commission workshop earlier this year on September 13th. That discussion included updated permitted densities within the R2, R3, and R4 zone districts, as well as the new mixed use 1 and mixed use 2 zone districts that provide flexible development allowances for vertical mixed use, horizontal mixed use, entirely residential developments, or entirely commercial developments. Moving into the scope of changes proposed for the new overlay districts, the main component is the introduction of the low density residential infill overlay district and the health and wellness overlay district. The purpose of these districts are defined within the draft amendment included in the associated staff report. And to summarize those, the low density residential infill overlay zoning district is intended to provide an increase in density to encourage infill development, promote the efficient use of existing infrastructure, and provide additional housing opportunities in the core area of the city. Additionally, the health and wellness overlay zoning district is intended to provide an opportunity to integrate land uses and design principles that promote health, wellness, equity, and associated multifamily housing development for healthcare workers, seniors, and others who would benefit from health and wellness related development. As proposed, the low density residential infill district is applicable to R1 properties that are located within the overlay district boundary. And within the health and wellness district, this would be applicable to C2 and MU2 zone properties within the boundary. Other related changes are to the districts and boundaries sections of the development code, as well as the deletion of the slope protection district, which were included in the proposed amendment to accommodate the overlay districts. With respect to the deletion of the slope protection district, this is a little used zoning designation within the city that predates the city's requirements for establishing landscape management assessment districts and universally required site plan review. Currently, the city's standards for establishing a landscape management assessment district and reviewing site plans for new development make the slope protection district unnecessary. To provide perspective of the area subject to the low density residential infill overlay district, the boundary of this district is depicted in this slide and is generally bound by Bear Valley Road to the south, the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power overhead electrical lines to the west, Ridgecrest Road to the east, and the Mojave River to the north. To highlight those areas subject to the health and wellness overlay district, these three distinct areas surround existing or planned hospitals, including Desert Valley along Bear Valley Road, Victor Valley Global Medical Center above the Old Town area, and along Interstate 15 in the southernmost area of the city, where a regional facility is planned. With respect to the specifics of the low density residential infill overlay district, which we've called LDRAO, this increases single family residential densities up to seven dwelling units per acre within R1 zones as a permitted use. It allows up to 9 units per dwelling unit per acre as a permitted use with a planned unit development. It also adds specific development standards that are intended to supplement existing R1 zone development standards. This would include minimum lot size decreases, maximum lot coverage increases, minor setback reductions, and homeowners association requirements. With regards to setbacks, it should be noted that we do intend to maintain the required 20-foot setback for garages in front yards. So vehicles will still have the same ability to access and park in front of their garages as they currently are permitted, albeit with minor reductions to living area setbacks in the front and rear yards. With regards to homeowners associations, although not noted in the attachment A that proposed the development standards, we also intend to update the homeowners association requirement to be applicable to any project that is 10 acres or more in size, whether or not they utilize 7 units per acre allowances or 9 units per acre allowances. And with regards to the plan unit development requirements, as noted, they are required to utilize the maximum density of up to 9 dwelling units per acre. That will also establish the development standards and amenities that are within that specific PUD. For the Health and Wellness Overlay District, a PUD is, as proposed, is required to utilize the floor to area ratio and residential incentives that are outlined in the proposal. This would include a 2.0 FAR for commercial areas and residential uses within C2 zones. Development of 10 acres or more may also use PUD for specific land use allowances, and this can be used to set site-specific regulations, requirements, and other allowances for land use. With regards to incentives, as noted, residential within C2 zones and increased FAR does require approval of a PUD, as well as the opportunity for development impact fee reductions, which would require approval by the city council in conjunction with any PUD. However, land use allowances are applicable to all properties within the Health and Wellness Overlay District as proposed. Bear with me. Here we go. With regard to the land use allowances and the land use table, we've included the Health and Wellness Overlay District as a specific land use district in the table. Within the attachments of the staff report, all the changes were highlighted in orange color for reference. We've removed the A or agricultural district. This is in going with a previous deletion of this district, which is to be replaced with the exclusive agricultural district due to the limited distribution of property zoned A. Within the Health and Wellness Overlay District, again, going back to the expanded and allowable uses, this would include expansions for medical uses, medical ancillary uses, educational uses, and public land uses. These uses provide additional opportunities for uses to locate within the Health and Wellness Overlay District, and in some cases without the need for a conditional use permit, and they may be permitted by right. Other changes, as included in the proposal, are adjustments to household pet allowances, and there was actually a typo in the staff report that you received, but the intent with the household pet allowances is to remove the allowances for pot-bellied pigs within R1 zones, as this is difficult to enforce by the city's animal control division. It has led to a number of complaints and surrendered animals that are too large for single-family home districts within general 7,200 square foot lots. There's still allowances in code for half-acre lots with a pet permit, but that would require noticing and property owner consent for neighbors. We've also updated residential allowances to reflect the general plan in previous discussions. This would include increased densities for updated residential districts. And lastly, we've clarified and expanded the description of a professional trade school. Typically, currently it reads as a business college. We've added trade school to that to allow trade schools that may provide a specialized education or certification in lieu of college courses. Here's a few examples of small lot development that would be possible within the low density residential infill overlay district. Currently, these proposals as it stands today would require a plan unit development approval. However, under the LDRAO district, these would be permitted by right with a track map. However, they would be required to establish a homeowners association for the maintenance of their districts. The property, the example on the left-hand side of the screen is approximately 16 acres of new development, whereas the property on the right is approximately 12 acres. And both of these under this code would be permitted by right with the track map. However, they would be required and conditioned as such to have a homeowners association established to maintain those community lots and private lots. This is an example of a health and wellness medical campus. As you can see, it has centralized open space pedestrian connections, and coordinated development that groups medical related uses. On a bit of a smaller scale, this next example does the same with open space, pedestrian connections, and coordinated development. However, this also adds a residential component along the south end of the property, and this may accommodate patrons or employees of the neighboring facilities. With that, staff recommends that the Planning Commission conduct a public hearing, receive testimony regarding the proposed project, and take the following actions. Provide feedback to staff on any recommended modifications, inclusions, or deletions to the draft overlay district standards and updated land use table allowances. And recommend that city staff proceed with preparing the draft overlay districts and land use table update for adoption, incorporating adjustments recommended by consensus of the Planning Commission. And staff remains available for any questions or comments you may have.
Okay, thank you for that presentation. I'm going to open it up to questions or thoughts by the commission. Let me start on this end this time.
Sure, I just have two. The administrative professional offices, that's part of the health and wellness overlay. I believe in the staff report on one of the documents where you have striped out a couple of the previous overlays, it mentions that, which I used to think it was office and professional under the previous line use category, but I'm not sure if that's part of the new health and wellness.
The health and wellness as it stands now is either comprise all of MU2, which will be the new mixed use 2. Are there certain areas that have C2 zoning and MU2? So those are primarily the two zones that are going to be comprised within any of the health and wellness districts.
And then for the HOA, that's just for low density infill overlays. It's not included in low density or medium density builds.
That's correct. As it's written to take advantage of the allowances for increased densities above 5 units per acre, up to 7 or up to 9. And depending on the size of your proposal, it would require HOA. But for low, medium, or multifamily development, there's not currently a requirement in municipal code for that.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Mr. Marsh?
I just have one. I guess I was trying to figure out how to form this question, but the health and wellness centers, is that going to be eventually like planned throughout the city? Because I guess when I'm envisioning health and wellness, I'm envisioning the one that's going, that's being developed over off of what, 2nd Street, 1st Street, or something like that. So are we talking, what type of health and wellness are we talking about? Centers like that, or like doctor's offices, or what? And are they going to be going are they going to be throughout the city, or are they going to be located in certain parts of the city?
So right now it's limited to, for the health and wellness overlay, it's limited to 3 areas that were established by our general plan. Those areas still maintain their C2, their base districts, I guess, for lack of a better term, which would be either MU2, high density mixed use, or C2. Those zones still allow a typical retail development like what you see on Bear Valley and 2nd. The intent with the overlay districts is really to promote medical related uses to gather there and be coordinated and developed. So I know when the city originally approved the plan unit development along Interstate 15 in the south end of the city, that was the intent with that, kind of a precursor to what our general plan does now in different areas of the city. And as we went through the general plan, it was an opportunity to group those areas around planned facilities, around the hospitals that are currently existing, to give a place for those medical uses to locate. And one can imagine there could be instances where there could be a client of one of the businesses maybe getting an x-ray, also needs to go see their doctor that's next door. And that's really the intent, to try to group those together, take away barriers that may require a conditional use permit or things of that nature. An example of that would be we've added nursing homes, as a permitted use as opposed to conditional in that district, because they would be residents that would be taking advantage of the close proximity to other medical uses. So it doesn't completely preclude what you see on Bear Valley and 2nd, a true mixed use with retail and things of that nature. But the intent is really to try to promote those medical related uses to gather in these areas around the hospital.
And if I could add a little bit more to that and kind of bring us back to the general plan update that we did a couple of years ago. The goal of these overlay districts are essentially to incentivize development. When we analyzed the development patterns in the area, we found that in the core of the city and then also around these hospital locations, there's a need to incentivize development due to the underutilized nature of kind of leapfrog development that is actually occurring more now on our west side, where you have most of the housing being built. And then we have some of these areas in the core part of the city that have been skipped over. So the development community is seeking that we increase density. We didn't blanket that across the whole city. We've structured these overlay districts to help serve that increased density, which has benefits on the environment, lower vehicle miles traveled when you develop closer to the urban core, and then also those three areas that we plan for the overlay district. We find that there's benefit in planning for more medical and more service enriched uses around the medical facility. The two medical facilities that we currently have, both Desert Valley Hospital and Victor Valley Global, and then also we wanted to carry on that concept with this planned St. Mary's campus on the southern part of the city. I also want to point out too, this is an opportunity to give feedback to staff regarding any land use in the city. We're basically opening up the book to the land use table. As you could see, we made changes mainly to like additional land uses allowances in the overlay districts. But if you see development patterns currently and uses that may not be appropriate anymore in a zone, or uses that should be included in a zone, this is a time to provide that feedback. So if you want to brainstorm now, or over time, if you have ideas, you can shoot those to staff. This will all come back at a later public hearing where we formalize the proposed ordinance. But we want to get your feedback because land use trends are ever evolving. We've seen influxes of certain uses in the city, so this is a chance to kind of reevaluate if those uses are, appropriate in some of those zones, or what are we missing? Is there uses that you see in other communities that we may not be allowing enough of in some of our zones?
Commissioner Thomas?
No questions. Just I just want to say that I'm impressed, and I totally agree with what we're doing here, and to look at the trends and base these overlay districts, place them where they need to be, and create opportunities. I think that's great.
I was looking at the on the health and wellness overlay stuff. Mr. Webb, you touched on the incentives, and that's important. I was looking at the health and wellness. It says opportunity for the development impact fee reductions. I was just kind of curious, and I know Mr. Haregi, you touched on it a little bit, but what might be an example in the health and overlay where a developer, an applicant, might qualify for a reduction of these fees? And also, is that possible in the residential overlay as well?
Thank you, Chair Kurth. So as it's written, it's intended only for health and wellness overlay, and it would be tied to a development that would promote a hospital or other regional medical facility. And in that case, it's not establishing a reduction by right. It's in essence opening the door for consideration of that and codifying that this can be considered. So it's not just solely an action of council. but also something that the planning commission could consider and recommend as it proceeds up the ladder. Ultimately, the city council will make that determination. But it would be solely intended to serve health and wellness overlay, and that will be an update in the draft that you were presented in your attachment A to clarify that. But it is intended only in those instances where it'll bring a regional facility or bring another hospital or one of those medical items.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, just to follow up, the developer would need to ask for that. It would go to the city council for evaluation on the public benefit of reducing any development impact fees. But by what the commission has done with the current general plan overlays and what we're trying to do now with providing some of the standards in our municipal code for those, is that it creates that district. So if the council did entertain reductions in diff fees, they can limit it to the overlay district for specific uses. So if they're trying to, entice more medical uses in those areas, we'd already have defined areas. And to give you an example of that, the city council, in their recent development impact fee policy, they've waived new development impact fees for all of Old Town as a way to incentivize growth in that area. So the same type of rationale could be used on these overlay districts as well.
Yeah, and I think that's important. We've all had discussions before on, the current state of our amount of hospital rooms, and that type of care. We have a way lower count per capita than most other cities, and that's dangerous. So I think any incentives to bring in not just more medical doctor buildings or ancillary type uses, but any kind of treatment centers or hospitalization, or ultimately even a trauma center someday would be highly needed. So the only other thing that I was always think about is, and this, I have to be careful with what I'm going to say here because I'm a commercial real estate broker and I deal with the city's land use table, all the times, always checking when a tenant comes to us, and not just us, when tenants come to the city, businesses or any commercial real estate broker throughout the city, you're going to say what's your use, and do you fit on this land use table for this building that happens to have this zoning? And I know it's really difficult to update that table because it's just a list of uses, and then it's either conditional or permitted or not at all, depending on which zone it is. But I've always had troubles, and I don't have a suggestion, but I've always had troubles when you have this zoning or this zoning, and they both look the same. It's just zoning on a map. But there's one building that looks just like this building. So there's two of them, but they're different zoning. So all of a sudden, just because this building is perfect for this use and this building would be perfect for it, this one's not, because of that zoning. And there's so many times that I do understand that the zoning is put there to affect the neighborhood and the surrounding area and the streets. But in so many cases, like on commercial properties, whether it's C1 or C2, or even, M1 or IPD or light commercial industrial, those types of things, there's so much crossover there. And I see a lot of people run into that problem. I don't have any answers for that, but is this the time to look at that or not?
It is. I think a lot of what that stems from is some of the older planning of the city where developments were built. They were intended maybe for warehouse. Then there was some leniency given because, there's maybe a demand for more commercial uses. So there was some changes. So the zoning's kind of morphed over time and may not be consistent with the development that was originally built. For example, we have areas like along Industrial Boulevard, in that area where they built out as more of an industrial warehouse with parking, but yet it's a highly trafficked area with demand for more commercial uses. So it may be something if you have like specific locations where you're like, why is this building so difficult to find uses for? Maybe we need to look at that underlying zoning district and say, oh, is it in the right district to start with? But there may be uses though that cross over many many land use districts that we just need to look at the use. So I guess my call to the commission is just, over the next, few weeks, reach out to staff with suggestions. All of this is going to come back to you in a final version for consideration. If you have proposed uses, provide those to us. We'll evaluate them and bring them back for another public hearing on this use.
Yeah, I don't necessarily have any specific uses. I just run across it in general, and I know a lot of people say, "Hey, I called the city, or I stopped by the city," and staff's not doing anything wrong when they're abiding by the code, but they might say, somebody walks in there and says, "My business is actually common sense works for this building," and you look at the chart and say, "Well, nope, there's no P there." But if you want to do taxidermy, you can do that there, and so I always struggle with that, knowing that there's, our city does give plenty of flexibility, but then we have a chart with P's and C's or nothing there, or X's and checks. It's always so black and white to me, and I know our city gives flexibility with interim use and minor conditional uses and things like that. And, I've noticed over the last few years in my career that the current city staff over the last probably 5 to 8 years, really listens to people and tries to find a way when these businesses are coming, to the counter, what have you. But sometimes maybe some of the junior people just will look at it and say, nope, nothing we can do. There's no way around it. So
what I can point out is in our Old Town specific plan, it does give allowances to the zoning administrator, which I serve as, to make that determination if the use is similar to other uses permitted in the zone. Our current municipal code does not have that. So we have it in specialized areas like Old Town. That could be carried over more on a citywide, but that would mean that you're putting those determinations in staff's hands to then make that determination. We can explore that further if you want. It may have some standards associated with it to keep me on my guardrails, I guess. But if that's something the commission wants us,
I think I would just thinking now. Number one, because of our current staff, we have a lot of faith with the zoning administrator and everything. As a matter of fact, all home occupancy permits and all the minor CUPs and all that stuff, come through, and there's not been a problem there. I don't know if I want to wholeheartedly give up, all the, everything to staff. However, it's worked well. So maybe there's something in there that can help a little bit without giving away the farm, because I know that the city staff, if they actually just looked at the project and the neighborhood and the building, they're going to use common sense, yay or nay, versus a chart that uses no common sense. It just says, oh, sorry, but that building really works. Okay. So maybe something like that. And then the only other, comment I have is I really like, it stuck out for me from when we first started working on this in the general plan, and then we had the kind of the last workshop, talked about it some more, is the residential overlay of infill pockets for the residential small infill throughout the city, being able to give them a little more density or something. I think that's really smart. I think that really helps for the little infill stuff. And I hope over the next number of years we see some people take advantage of that and infill. Infill. That's really all I have.
Thank you. And just by general consensus, would the rest of the commission concur with the chair's direction? Should we, as staff, explore kind of giving the staff discretion to make determinations that uses are similar or to permitted or conditional uses. We can explore that and bring it back to the commission for consideration. Okay, I'm seeing some nods. Okay,
Maybe just kind of what are your suggestions and what does that look like?
Okay. Because I would like to point out too that may actually help us because during the Great Recession there was a council policy that was established that allowed staff to engage in what we call interim use permits, and it was affiliated with having vacant suites, and it gave staff the ability to fill a suite that may not, conform with the zoning. But that recession has kind of come and gone. So this could possibly be an opportunity to kind of do away with those interim use permits and create some new standards that are in our municipal code. So we'll regroup on this and bring.
Yeah, because the interim's kind of a catch-all a little bit as time goes by. I hear people saying, "Oh, they'll go for an interim." Well, what does that mean anymore, really? So
Yeah,
I'd like to see
it adds an extra step, and we do an administrative hearing with that. And I have never been to a zoning administrator hearing where someone's opposed to that use, even though we've noticed everyone. So we'll explore it. We'll put some safeguards in that, so it's not a free for all, and we'll bring it back for your consideration.
Thanks. Any other thoughts? Okay, then I think should this recommendation go through a vote, do you think? Or should it just be a consensus recommendation?
I'm sorry, on the whole item today, or just
Yeah, for this workshop.
I don't believe there's any action. Any action would be at your discretion. We would need to bring back a formal ordinance, so this is mainly an opportunity to just get feedback.
Okay. Well, I think then this workshop is a recommendation that city staff proceed with preparing the draft overlay districts and land use table for future adoption.
Chair Kurth?
Yes.
And this is under public hearing items, so we should open the public hearing and close it as well.
Thank you.
You're
Yes, and this is item number 5. I'll open up the public hearing. And there's no one here to speak and no cards, right?
Correct.
Okay, I will close the public hearing. Thank you. And that moves us on to continued public hearings. Item number 6 is the wireless communications facility we looked at the last meeting. And it looks like staff and the applicant, if I'm correct, are looking for asking for a continuance on this one.
That is correct, Chairman Kurth. We are requesting that you continue this item to the December 13th meeting for the applicant to provide more information.
Okay, then I'll go ahead and I'll open the public hearing. And I see no one and there are no cards.
That's correct.
So I will close. No, I'll leave the public hearing open. And then I'll make a motion to continue this item to the Planning Commission's December 13th, 2003 hearing.
I second.
I have a first by Chair Kurth, a second by Commissioner Messin. We'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Marsh?
Yes.
Commissioner Messin?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Chair Kurth?
Yes.
Motion passes with Vice Chair Cook Askins being absent.
Thank you. Any final reports, Commissioner Thomas? Anything?
No, I don't have anything.
I just want to thank staff and for answering all the questions. I know I ask a lot of questions, and it's a lot of documents to go through. So I thank you for your patience, and just want to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving.
I concur, and I have nothing else. Anything from staff?
Just want to wish everyone a happy Veterans Day and also Thanksgiving. We do have our Veterans Day celebration this Saturday in the morning in Old Town if anyone's interested. That was it. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. Have a great evening. Meeting adjourned.